Alrighty, everyone, welcome to week 5 of the League Franchise Association, or Legends Franchise Association, excuse me. My name is Soren. Joining me on the desk is Becky today, filling in for Sheep. Becky, how we feeling? Flannel versus Hyler. I know Flannel is your home and your stomping ground for this split, so how we feeling?
Feeling great. I'm glad I get to be here, representing, totally unbiased, of course, but representing Flannel. I get to watch them once again, this time on the mainstream, and I'm sure, just like when I watch them every other week, they'll find new ways to disappoint me, and also impress me. So, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not kind of as crazy of a matchup as we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Obviously, last week I think it was a Mint and ID, which was kind of like one of those big clashes that we were really waiting to see. So two Titans, Highlight and Flannel, not quite to that degree. They're two teams in very different hemispheres. Obviously, Flannel leaning a little bit towards the bottom side of the table, does have some wins, but notably up against I think a BTL side that was missing 2 players, so a bit on the weaker side. And they also beat Divine Ascension, which is obviously ex Syndicate. So that team has not been performing, sitting bottom of the table. So there are 2 wins against some weaker sides. So as we go into the second half, officially the middle point with this week, Flannel are going to be looking to try to secure a big win against a strong team. Meanwhile, High Alert, they're sitting towards that top side. They're getting a lot of hype from the viewers at home and the other players in the league. This is a team that could be firing and be one of the best teams in the split, but still struggling against some of the higher teams. So both teams are going to want to solidify a spot, at least in that middle. Hyler obviously striking a little bit higher, but yeah. So that is the kind of layout for the game as we are officially going to get into the bans as we do see them start going underway. Obviously, Metro is in the game, so I would expect to see a lot of mid bans, including the Akali. There we go. But I mean, we could talk about mid all you want. That's going to be fun. But Becky, I know we were talking a little bit about it, about, what players are going to be the standouts for both teams. And I know you said, for better or for worse, the standout for Flannel is going to be Saint. Do you want to kind of expand on that and give your thoughts about what that top lane matchup might look like?
Yeah, so Saint of Aegis, one of the last split had some impressively bad score lines, and I keep using that word. These are very much not great things to say. One of the lower performing players, and very consistently would find new and exciting ways to just absolutely throw the game. This season has really improved. Going into a lot of those sort of that mechanical skill that Saint does actually have in those 1v1s, and converting now, shoring up the weaknesses of I don't know how to lane, how to like manage the minions, I don't know where to go once my opponent is dead or once I'm dead. Uh, sort of fixing up a lot of those macro issues. Saint has improved a lot, but still has those moments where it's like, well, Saint is 0 and 5. I don't know what to say. This is just how the game works sometimes. And it really feels like no matter what Flannel do, like it does come down to how is Saint doing. You got to see how Saint is performing to get a good idea of how Flannel as the whole roster are going to perform. Uh, However, doing much better this split, and I think if not Saint, then the mid laner Can of Tin is just a fairly consistent player with some interesting picks. We saw the Zed last week, and check him PC is the kind of the reaction that bro was actually doing MLG highlight reels on the Zed last week, and that was very exciting. So Flannel, if nothing else, have a lot of fascinating picks in pocket. Speaking of picks, the picks so far are not that fascinating, all things considered.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at it, and I like to take a look because again, we're week 5 in, but I still like to point out that we are officially on fearless for this split. So the picks are very important, and between the Udyr, between that Jinx, the MF, and the Lilia, some of the top picked champions in the entire game have already come out, and it's only game 1. So really sticking to the firepower of both of these teams. So we do see a little bit. It looks like we're going to get a Cho'Gath and a Kled up on the top side. That's definitely going to be interesting. And I was actually thinking to myself, you were talking about Saint King of Spades is going to be their lane opponent. And they're not known for being a really strong top lane. It's definitely not like the Daro Rutledge lane that we saw last week, where all eyes was kind of on that. So I was excited to see what that matchup would be, and if they would put prio towards it. Instead, we're not going to see that. A lot more priority pick towards the mid lane. Obviously, neither have been selected unless High Alert go crazy and go to put that Udyr in mid. But I think that would be outrageous. But we do see a lot of pressure being put on the Metro. Obviously, that Syndra getting taken away, as well as the Akali, two champions that they have operated very effectively on both this split and last. So that pool getting squeezed a little bit, but there's still a lot of mage champions for them to select. So Metro definitely going to have the pick of the litter. They do have the opportunity. Or excuse me, Flannel do have the opportunity to get the counter on Metro as well. So that is something that they have going for them. I am going to be interested to see. I mean, you imagine this is going to be a support pick on R4, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And Flannel doing a little bit of a repeat of what they were doing last week in terms of their draft, which was getting their top lane and then sort of banning out in round two to picking their top lane on R3 and then sort of banning responsively to that. But they kind of have an idea that this is likely going to be a Cho'Gath top, so that's what they're suspecting at least. So they decided that they were instead going to focus on picks like the Braum or the Syndra, taking those away from the side of High Alert. Um, and well, interestingly, High Alert did not ban away Saint of Aegis's Kled. Uh, Despite everything, Kled almost always gets banned away from Saint. It's his signature pick, it's his pocket pick. And High Alert do not seem to be threatened by the Kled. And they are, in fact, going to flex the Cho'Gath into mid lane if they decide to lock this Renekton in. Uh, Renekton is certainly rough for Kled to deal with, I think. It's definitely, you as Kled, you really do not want to fight somebody who is stronger in the early game than you are. So I think it's an interesting way that High Alert navigated the draft, sort of responding to how some of Flannel's tendencies last week, and Flannel have now kind of found themselves in an awkward situation where potentially their signature top lane pick, could run into trouble. And that's
Yeah.
a misfortune mid?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah, because I don't think Kaisa can really go mid lane there, so I would imagine so. So both both sides choosing to have a bit of an off pick in the mid lane, which is rather interesting. Canatan and Metro both kind of seen as standout players. Obviously, you pointed out Canatan, and I don't think we really need to say much more about Metro, one of the best mid laners in the LFA. So the fact that two really strong carries for both these teams are going to be operating on off picks. Obviously, Misfortune can still be a carry, but the Cho'Gath is definitely a bit of a question mark for me. I'd imagine you could get a lot more value out of Metro putting them on pretty much any mage in the game. But that's going to be a lot of tankiness. I do agree. I think that Renekton pick on that top side is actually going to be a big problem for the Kled. And it's one of those rare pickups where, or at least rare pickups for Renekton, where typically when you pick the Renekton, you're expecting to want to win the lane. But if you blind pick, there's a little bit more of a expectation of you're really confident. This is one of those picks for Renekton where you just know you're going to do pretty well. So as long as you can outplay your opponent, you're going to be doing well into this lane pretty naturally. So I think Flannel might struggle up on the top side. Saint of Aegis is going to put a lot of pressure on. But again, with Metro being on that Cho'Gath, that mid lane I think becomes a lot weaker. Obviously, there's a lot of roaming potential. Metro really like to have a lot of impact across the map, and they're just not going to have that on the Cho'Gath. So I'm actually really interested to see how this goes. This does just kind of feel like a gut down, Mr. President composition with that Udyr, the Cho'Gath, and the Renekton in front of that Jinx. If this Jinx cannot get online quickly, I fear that they may struggle. But Civil has been doing really well. I know last week, I think they kind of went crazy last week and put up some big numbers. So if they're feeling really good going into this matchup, they are going up against Melee Vayne. So that's not an easy ADC to be staying across from and being hopeful that you're gonna dominate early. But that's a lot of pressure on Civil. But I would not be surprised if they believe that they can hold their own and wait for this Jinx to scale.
Yeah. That's not, I mean, scaling Jinx into the late game, it's been a strategy that a lot of our teams have been relying on, and Flannel included. Jinx has been a super high priority pick. Uh, and I think that High Alert do have a lot of the good tools to allow them to do that. And as we're getting the picks coming in, it looks like this might actually be a Kaisa mid. Going more poke Kaisa. We saw that a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe her items have changed and it's now somewhat more optimal to do that. And potentially, we also may be looking at it looks like that it is in fact not Renekton top, but Renekton mid into the Kaisa with then Cho'Gath top. And I think Cho'Gath is a lot easier for Kled to deal with. So the Renekton is going to be Renekton into mid is, I guess it's just going to come down to if Tin gets jumped on, it'll be very easy
Yeah.
to kill Kaisa, but it'll also be very difficult to get onto the Kaisa. So uh,
Yeah.
I'm not actually a huge fan of the Cho'Gath top Renekton mid. I know it's better for Metro to have the Renekton than the Cho'Gath, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of those particular lane assignments, but I guess it wouldn't really have mattered to the Kaisa. Overall, though, uh, I feel like High Alert just has better win conditions in the late game. And I do not know if Flannel have the ability to win before that. So I would give it to High Alert.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think Metro's going to get a lot more value out of the Renekton, but I absolutely agree. I think they're really going to struggle with actually getting onto the Kaisa. A lot of mobility there. I think they're actually going to really rely on this Udyr, which, Renekton wants to play a little bit more aggressive, and having to rely on the jungler is not great. But if you're going to rock it in the mid lane, at least that Udyr is going to be in and around the area rather frequently. So there is always the opportunity that pairing can kind of just lock Kaisa down. And if they can both get on top of Kaisa, it's just a free kill. So that is going to be something to look at. But we are going to just have to wait and see how it all plays out. Game 1 of week 5, High Alert versus Flannel, coming to you in just a couple of minutes. Alrighty, everybody, we are getting underway here in game number 1, High Alert versus Flannel. And we do see pretty standard buyout. Don't think anything crazy in the shop, and going to be interested to see if we do see anything crazy coming out from either side. But nope, it looks like we are going to be seeing a pretty standard 5-point from both sides. Neither side wanting to really give anything away. It's just got to come down to if there's any little bit of aggression, poking, and maybe some aggressive wards, but nothing too crazy. No invades to start this game off.
Yeah, kind of just keeping a very standard go of things here. And taking a look around at some of the keystones, runes, some of the keystones and rune choices. Nothing seems a little out of the ordinary. The only one that I guess is a bit odd is, okay, we do potentially have a scuffle here. Never mind, it's just getting some early vision on it to, just trying to get some info as to where Engrotus might be starting, I suppose. As Tin is going to take a little bit of a trade here, but nothing too crazy. The only thing that I think is kind of interesting is the lethal tempo on the Misfortune. I'm guessing it's just a lot of the play patterns for Misfortune in this lane are going to be drop a hail of bullets and then go in for as many autos as you can. So I imagine that's probably the reasoning behind it. We also have in the mid lane, Tin is going the man, I feel really bad because I love this particular keystone. I think it's very funny. Gold generating keystone on hitting your opponent.
First strike. First strike.
First strike. I think that is also very interesting, but considering that a lot of this lane is going to be Can just kind of free hitting the melee, it makes sense. This is a poke Kaisa. Every time you poke, you get a little bit of money in your pocket. So, makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is going to be a little rough here for Metro to start out. You do see a little bit of a trade up on the top side, but it's just a classic wet noodle fight of a top lane. But yeah, no. Metro going to struggle. Obviously, I say that.
Okay,
Go
Metro.
in does do quite a bit. But early on is just not going to have the sustain going forward. So it's just going to be a lot of poking, but not too much in terms of actual go-in potential, and probably a lot of zoning from this Kaisa.
Yeah, and Saint getting a little bit of a trade there, but also taking a tower shot. It's gonna hurt a little bit. We'll be able to get back. We'll be able to remount pretty easily. Just needs a couple more autos and wait a little bit longer on this next wave. We'll get the remount. So not too scary right now for Saint, unless Saint decides to blunder his way into dying randomly, which I'm not going to rule out until I see the remount happen. Okay, there it is. Remount has been done. Here in the bot lane, though, fairly even right now, but I think fairly even is an absolutely great place for the Jinx to be. Considering the Nautilus Misfortune, I imagine you pick these two to try and be aggressive in this early game, and it's not necessarily panning out. We got a scuffle around bot lane, Scuttle Crab, maybe not a scuffle, as it looks like Angrotus is just going to give that one over. Never mind in the top lane, one more auto! Not quite enough.
Yeah, very close, as we do see both junglers make presence known in mid lane. Angrotus is actually going to have to flash, stunned up.
Yep. Okay, yep. Auto will finish off Angrotus there. And in the top lane, Saint gets the solo kill on to King of Spades with the Kled. So yeah, the Udyr going into mid lane and getting a kill onto Angrotus. Good stuff from the side of High Alert to get that first blood.
Yeah, that does make it 1-1. So, of course, Feather Warfare, the feats of strength are something we're going to have to keep an eye out. Both teams now tied for it, as we do see the first Drake is going to be coming up in just a couple of seconds. Both scuttles notably were secured by High Alert there, so they're going to have a little bit more information in and around the jungle. So we do see actually both TPs from the Renekton and the Cho'Gath being invested after the recent back and death. So that is going to be something notable for the next Drake fight. Meanwhile, that bot side is doing really well for High Alert, despite the fact that you would imagine, like you said, that Melee Vayne on this Misfortune and that Nautilus would be doing a little bit better, but they are constantly being pushed under their turrets. As I do see the Drake spawn, it does look like it's going to be Hex Tech, so the best soul in the game is not going to be available.
Yep. It's a, something to consider there, as Angrotus will get the takedown on to King of Spades. The Kled pick panning out successfully. Do we have a hook in on to Civil, who is going to try and get out of here? Does have the flash, does have the barrier. Going to try and actually melee fight this out. Ethereal Ice going to be taking a lot of punishment down here. A lot of damage going down. The heal is here. They've delayed long enough, and now Deathmaster Pones has arrived with the Udyr. Going to double tap that Phoenix on to Melee Vayne, but will not get the kill immediately. Civil will trade back on the Sunset Diner, and Sunset Diner will secure Ethereal Ice. They do get the 2 kills in bot side, and in the mid lane, it looks like Metro will pick up one for himself under the tower onto Can of Tin with the Dominus. And Grotus is going to pick that one up, though, off the back end, so it ends up being a 1-for-1 in mid, and actually a shutdown over to Angrotus somehow. And now the fight continues into the Drake pit.
Angrotus has the advantage here. Help.
Yeah, watch out, Eep. The Angrotus does have the HP advantage. Will spin away the Udyr, and that is now Lilia on a killing spree. Does still have the smite. This is going to be a secure thank you for the leash, my good friend. Hextech Drake will get picked up by Flannel.
Yeah. I do actually think Flannel secured the feat of warfare there. It was very close. It was a very tight window of opportunity where both teams were sitting at 2 kills. But I do think Flannel actually secured it. So that's actually very good for them that they also picked up that first Drake. That means that they're on their way as they've picked up the first of the feats of strength that they need. That means that they're one of 3 major jungle objectives to just securing it outright. Obviously, the next one to really take is the turret, but that's gonna take a minute or two, especially as these lanes have been very back and forth. There's been no real outright hard winner, except maybe up on the top side. Oh, geez, Can of Tin.
Oh, Can of Tin taking a lot of damage here. Yeah, I suppose this does actually... I mean, Renekton does just kill people to death. He is a crocodile. That's what Croc does best. We Croc-in as Saint is going to get the jump onto Deathmaster Pones. This is what Saint does best, is find himself in the enemy jungle for reasons beyond comprehension. Going to sleep for the top-end jungler of High Alert. Flash is going to come out from Deathmaster Pones as Saint going to try and remount here to avoid certain death. On 1 tick away, will not be able to get the remount, gonna have to try and hit something for it. Gunshots go out, and now Saint's gonna try and fight Metro here, and Metro gets boomed by the Noxian warrior. Warrior may not be the right term. The Noxian paranoid man, the Kled, who gets a... Topside for Flannel looking great right now. Hook goes wide as there's now a fight in the bot lane. We get the full bullet time. Going to try and be channeled there. Depth charge is going to come in as the level 5 comes in as well. Ethereal Ice not level 6 herself, so she will drop. And now it's Civil. Going to get the trade back. We'll get excited and avoid certain death.
Yeah, that is very good for Civil. Obviously avoids death, but also is able to get the trade there, so it's not all for naught. Also, no kills have gone over to this Misfortune yet, so it's still in favor of Civil, who is now 2-0-1. As we do see the smite come out from Deathmaster Pawns, that is going to prevent them from getting a major jungle objective. But this is going to be a fight 3-on-2 here.
3-on-2. King of Spades will be the first one to drop right now. Can-of-Tin picks that one up. Deathmaster Pones looking really unhealthy right now. Udyr's early game fragility is going to be a detriment in this scuffle here. Those AP items do not keep you alive very long, and if you don't have the shield, you are toast. Deathmaster Pones will drop. Oh, that is a big boom. We'll give that 3 big booms. 3 big booms for Civil right now. as Saint will get dismounted, but is just gonna pick up Metro on the clapback there. This is why every team, no matter who they are, ban Kled away from Flannel. You cannot give Saint his signature pick.
Yeah, and remember earlier when it was like, oh yeah, there's also, securing the first turret, but that's a little whiles away. There's no like lane that is just going drastically one-sided. So if you couldn't tell by that top lane turret health, I have a sneaking suspicion Saint of Aegis is just going to pick this up here. Yep, there we go. And that does secure the feature strength for them. They are going to flash away. Did they get out of this? It's going to be close.
They might get out of this. It's going to be a close one here. The feast does go down, but yeah, it's going to be a little close there. That's another thing Saint does really well is die. Greed's a little bit for the turret there, but I think that's an all right trade.
Yeah, it's a lot of extra gold in their pocket. Obviously, also secures the feats of strength, so it kind of takes away that potential route of a comeback from high alert. So it's definitely not the end of the world. That's still a very valuable trade. It's mostly, I believe, just the bounty that they give over. That's the real big concern. But at the end of the day, it's not too crazy. I believe they fell to the Udyr, who's not too far ahead, or not really that far behind, not really that far ahead. So it's a pretty neutral kill in the totality of the game. But we are kind of now in that bit of a lull. Obviously, Rift Herald is up, but no one's really putting a lot of pressure on securing it. Meanwhile, Drake is still only up in about 30 seconds or so. So a little bit of poking, just a bit of an easy lane phase right now, as there's not a lot of presence from anyone. Though we do see a lot of pressure here from Civil and Ethereal Ice trying to keep their laners in this lane, as Udyr does make their way to the enemy jungle, as it looks like it may be a dragon push here. Oh.
Maybe a little bit of a dragon first, and Grotus gonna get the bowling ball out, force the Dominus just to survive from Metro. The burn will not be enough to finish that one. But now Flannel have total control over this Drake, and there's really nothing High Alert can do to contest. Bot lane's not in a great spot to do anything about it. Udyr's not able to do anything, and with Metro taken off the map, this is just a freebie for the side of Flannel. As they're just picking this guy up. They do not necessarily care about the enemy team right now. They're going to try and convert this play, flashing with the depth charge here. Cleanse is going to come out from the Milio, but now Milio's going to get locked up by the root. Flash is going to go down. The burn is going to tick, and that's going to be one picked up by Angrotus. Are they going to go for the dive here onto Civil? They're going to try. Hook goes in. Fantastic from the Sunset Diner. And the sun is set on Ethereal Ice's lane right here, as that is a huge doubler over to the side of Flannel's bot side.
Yeah, and this snowball is starting to roll down the hill and get a little momentum as that bot side finally does fall. I mean, Civil was the only player on High Alert that had not fallen yet. Everyone else on the team falling at least 3 times. So Civil was kind of that lone hope and a little bit of the thing keeping them in this game. But obviously, that drop is not going to put them behind terribly so, but it's definitely going to bring them a little bit back down to earth. It's also going to help advance some of the more scary players on Flannel. I do want to point out Ingrotus, another one of those players that has some, rough games, but has a really strong high side to their game. 5, 2, and 4 on this Lilia is operating very well, using the movement to just get around the map and have a lot of impact, and then setting up for the rest of their team so well, as we do see here, as Saint of Aegis and Ingrotus are sitting and waiting in the bush. They're just waiting for the opportunity to jump this croc.
Yeah, they're waiting for Metro to just go brain off and just dive in, and that's exactly what he does. Wow, big surprise. Saint's gonna get caught here. The remount will dismount the turret. Aggro actually horrific though, as Can of Tin is gonna be the person who gets targeted, smote down by Deathmaster Pones, and that dive was horrific for Flannel. As oh no, oh no.
the moment when you forget that the mid laner you're trying to jump is Metro. Just a little bit of juke and dodging, and suddenly what looked like could have been a super good and a well-timed dive just goes absolutely awry. As it looks like they're going to try to run it back again, this time with Angrotus down on the bot side with Sunset Diner and Millie Vane putting pressure. I don't know if they're aware of the Lilia, though.
I have no idea. Well, now, yeah, they are now. And with Deathmaster Pones on the top side, okay, yeah, it looks like they're not going to go any further. It's just going to be real. It's just really risky for the very little gain if this dive goes well. HP bars are just a little too high to risk it. And especially because Milio does still have the ultimate now. Going for that dive would have been ill-advised, I think. A little bit ill-advised, but perhaps we just randomly take a fight here. Civil actually doing really well poking out with those rockets, kind of keeping Sunset Diner a little bit worse for wear. The Nautilus problem. If you can do everything if you have full HP, but if you have taken any damage at all, you have no value. It's awesome.
Yeah, as we do see up on the top lane, Saint just having to back away is going to take the 1v2.
He's gonna try and take the 1v2 here. He does have the flash, but he's gonna try and save it. There is a blast cone to get out. Will hop over the wall, but Metro's gonna try and get him here. Well, the flash will get burned now. Trying to wait for perhaps the drowsy, as Angrotus does have that ulti, does get used, but doesn't amount to anything. And now Saint gonna attempt to remount them? That was not the right play. That was not the right play, Saint. Please, he wasn't gonna check on you. He was walking right past you. No, Saint, no! It's fine. Little bit.
Okay.
Things are falling apart now. This is classic. Gold is even, everyone. Gold is evening out, as perhaps we haven't engaged down here. Bullet time is going to be fantastic. Do so much damage, and Tin is just going to clean this one up very easily. Folks, gold not even. One number bigger than the other. Trust the process. As Flannel still have maintained a little bit of a gold lead, but with Metro taking down this turret and that Herald getting picked up, High Alert will very quickly even that out.
Yeah, they have not yet secured that mid and tier 1 on bot, but it's only a matter of, wow, that tier 1 on bot is hanging on by, I can't see the red in the health bar anymore. Literally, by the skin of its teeth is still hanging on. So it's just a matter of time. So like you said, that gold is going to level out a little bit as we do see the third Drake come up. It is an Infernal Soul to fight for. I actually think that does help out Flannel quite a bit. High Alert, while I would appreciate a little bit of extra damage. Oh, Saint of Aegis. Yet again,
Saint of Aegis is once again going to try and go for a 1v3 here. Ulting into nothing, trying to get a remount, and dying horribly. Just getting caught out on the side once again. After doing so well in the early game, committing hardcore to that split push style has allowed Flannel to get another Drake and get to that soul point here. So perhaps High Alert are valuing different objectives in this game. But one thing I've seen watching Flannel play is that when everybody is perma-targeting Saint, the rest of the team can kind of just do whatever they want.
Yeah, and that Drake stacking is a real problem, as that's going to be a lot. And like I said, I actually think that the Infernal Soul does actually help Flannel, because while High Alert would appreciate a little bit of extra damage, the only character that really gets a lot out of it is that Jinx and maybe the Udyr. However, Flannel, that extra damage that could like just help them get past some of the more beefy members of High Alert will make it so it gets them to that Jinx quicker, and that Jinx is that primary and really only form of a lot of damage, especially as we get to that mid to late game that we're starting to approach. So that Infernal Soul, if it could be secured early by Flannel, that could be real scary for High Alert, because all that tankiness that they picked up in the draft menu just might be out the window pretty much. We do see a lot of presence here in the mid lane. Notably, Shelly was taken, though I don't believe it's been popped yet, so that's still on the table to be used. There we go. We are going to see it, and it looks like it's going to be mid.
We've got an engage right here. Ethereal S going to get tagged by the Void Seeker, but Sunset Diner is going to get taken out potentially. Yeah, the Super Mega Death Rocket will secure that one, as the Herald will keep charging with Renekton in tow. And that will be the crash into the turret. Now Angrotis could be in a bit of danger here. We do have the sleep going out. We'll tag 2. And that's going to be setting up for a bullet time right there, as Civil will have to flash and get the cleanse out. Now Angrotis on the flank potentially. HP bars are critically low for the side of High Alert. The Dominus will get popped to try and turn the fight around, but Angrotis has got a fantastic angle, so much damage, so much power in this pick. Flash is going to go out to get out of the slow field, and Melee Vayne with the speed going to try and flip onto Metro, who will take the fight and lose, as that is going to be a sweep for Flannel.
Yeah, that positioning is just really rough. Everyone going into that top side jungle, kind of getting corralled between the wall of the red buff and the chickens, just means, especially with Angrotis on that flank, means there's no safe exit. And especially with Angrotis on that Lilia, being able to just go in and do massive damage with the Q, massive damage with the W, just means that they're just able to get him so low. And the rest of the team, I mean, Melee Vayne with that bullet time just removed most of the health bars from all their carries, so they had to play safe, but there was no safe exit, and it was just a disaster for High Alert. Everyone falls, it opens up the door for them to lose their mid lane, tier 1, as well as just gives away the Otacon. So you know, you said earlier maybe they're just prioritizing other objectives, but now they're starting to hemorrhage turrets. They've lost 3 Drakes, and they've lost the Otacon, and they've also secured 2 of the 3 Grubbies. So, yeah. High Alert having a real rough time getting into this game, to say the least.
When I say other objectives, of course, what I mean is we get another kill onto Saint of Aegis. That's the objective.
Oh, sorry. I misunderstood.
Yeah, that's the real objective. Is we gotta make Saint's KDA look abysmal. If Saint does not have negative KDA, something has gone horribly wrong. At least that's what it seems to be for a lot of these teams. Yeah, I mean, Flannel in a fantastic spot currently. Gold is not even. In fact, Flannel have a pretty solid gold lead. Still not huge. I mean,
Healthy.
4K is pretty nice. But I've certainly seen 4K gold leads evaporate in an instant. I've seen Flannel throw a 10K gold lead, so anything is possible. As now Metro is gonna be fighting here with Saint of Aegis. The charge will come out, but here comes the TP from King of Spades. But who else is gonna arrive? The cavalry has come, as now Flannel is all 5, and High Alert are slow to the drop. As we do have the Void Seeker gonna go out, gonna tag Deathmaster Pones, but the slow field from the double tap Phoenix is gonna do a lot, and now Saint sees the opportunity to seize the day, as will TP on topside and force a response here from somebody on High Alert, which will just split the map and allow Flannel to easily get the soul point here.
Yeah, it is looking like there's going to be a little bit of contention here. Civil and Deathmaster Pones are not willing to just give this over for free. The damage of the Drake is also doing a lot here.
I don't like the flip. I don't like the flip here. They never, yeah, you do not want to take that flip, but now they're going to have to get the fight here to make it worth their while. Deathmaster Pones does have the flash, and Grotus does not. The bowling ball will go wide. That is a gutter ball right there, as Ethereal Ice will almost certainly die, but I imagine High Alert is okay taking that trade, because they did stop the soul point, and Grotus loses the flip, but still High Alert in a rough spot.
Yeah, they do temporarily put a hold. Deathmaster Pones is also going to die here. Like, they don't get away. Okay, why did they not leave?
What?
Apparently not. He just got caught. He just gets caught out in their jungle. Okay, so that's rough. The mid lane tier 2 is gone too as well.
Look, he's still. I imagine he's still in pre-algebra. All right, this guy's literally 12 years. So he probably just didn't run the calculations on that one to see that he would die.
Oh, jeez. But Now looking at it again, like we said before, that does stop the soul take. However, it is kind of just a matter of time, 45-ish seconds left until the Baron is up. So we are also getting to the point where win conditions are in play. If there's a really big fight for this Baron, and it ends up being a full sweep for Flannel, that wearing purple, that purple cloak that they could wear, run it down mid, no more tier 2, they're just going to be running straight into the base. It could just be the end of the game. Even if they don't get fully swept, even if it's just one left, it could still be that case. So win conditions are now something that High Alert really need to keep an eye on. So expect to see a lot more presence and a lot more vision being put towards that Baron pit. So we do see Deathmaster Pawns just trying to do anything in their jungle and having to stare down Saint of Aegis.
Yeah, the human
looking
ward.
to take the Gromp. Yeah.
It's got to smite away the Gromp. As now Saint of Aegis, maybe, actually Sunset Diner might not be looking so great here. Depth Charge will go out, will tag on to Civil. The Void Seeker lands! That is a potential angle right here. Bullet Time is going to go into its entirety into Deathmaster Pwns, but King of Spades gets the first draw on this fight. The Crypt Bloom will fire out. Civil gonna try and go crazy into melee vein. It's a crossfire kill right there as Civil and melee vein take each other out. Metro is the only one left alive for High Alert. Flannel do win that fight, but neither team can make anything happen from it.
Yeah, Flannel, I think, do come out on the other side a little bit better. Ooh, Metro, do a little dancey dance, dancing out of the way. I do want to point out on Grotus. I mean, we keep talking about them, and they've been doing well this game, but 10, 3, and 9, very silently, has been the top kill in the lobby. Has been doing really good, not just in setting up the team, but also setting up themselves. Catatin's going to take a lot of damage there. And Grotus is nearby. Metro needs to back away. Is going to pop the Dominus to try to do so.
Yeah, Dominus will get popped here. Metro going to get taken low. Going to do what they can. Try and heal as much as possible as Canatin. We'll just use the ulti to secure that one on a dominating killing streak right now with this Kaisa. The whole top side of the map for Flannel, although Saint's score is kind of evened out to the not really anyone's surprise if you've watched Saint play. This is regular Saint gameplay, completely normal and expected. We'll probably die here, and I think that's what you want to see personally. As this is now going to reveal, with the charge, we're fine, And most importantly, Udyr has revealed themselves on bot side, so Saint has done his job. Because guess what we can take now, everyone? It's the Baron!
Yeah, pulling both the Cho'Gath and the Udyr away is massive. It does draw out the TP, but that health is dwindling very quickly, and it's like thieves in the night. They're going to try to get away, but they are getting hit on the way out.
Yeah, the tiny Baron wall actually making it a little awkward for Angrotus, but now the fight's going to continue. Melee Van's going to get the first drop here. Trading one back as Civil is going to get excited, but how much can they really do? Rockets are going to keep firing. The Slow's going to get tagged. The Bowling Ball will take out Civil right there. And that's a 4-man falling as Flannel not only take the Baron, they clean up the fight. And Saint is giving Metro the runaround here. The absolute disrespect coming in from Saint, just wasting Metro's time. We'll get the remount, but does not matter. Just trying to keep this Croc busy. And it is panned out so well. Saint, the aggro magnet, has found Flannel a crazy opportunity.
I said it earlier, it's just a matter of time, and now that clock is run out, that Drake is being secured, and it's going to get taken for practically free, and there's really nothing High Alert can do. I do think this... never mind! Super Mega Death Rocket from downtown just stole that Drake.
LOL. That's an LOL right there. All right, well, High Alert have delayed the soul point once again. But, you know,
now that's a caster curse if I've ever seen it. Oh, I am so sorry, Flannel.
The crazy thing is that as Flannel, we don't need it, you know? You don't actually need the objective here. You just gotta kill him. That's the real objective. I don't know how
I
we
miss.
keep losing these.
Hey, it's not over. That's not like it's the game. That was just a insanely good super mega death rocket coming out from Civil, who has been a bit of the bright spark for this high alert team so far in game one, despite the fact that the rest of the team has struggled quite a bit. But we do see three members still rocking those purple cloaks, and they are going to try to hit this fight here immediately.
Yeah, we're going to see the fight go out. The depth charge will fire. Bullet time's going to go out, and Tin is going to clean up those HP bars. We do see Deathmaster Pons doing what they can with the help of the Jinx. A lot of damage will fire out. They'll take out Sunset Diner and Saint of Aegis. It's still going to be a 3v1, though, as the only player left alive is King of Spades, who will do what they can, I guess trying to clear the wave, but cannot stop the tides as Flannel is going to clean up this game, just getting the objectives, getting the turrets here, getting a wave in, and it'll be done like dinner.
Yeah, like I said, the win conditions were always in play. They took the fight while they still had the last couple seconds of that Baron, and like I said before, even if they had a couple of members left standing after a Baron fight, it was always going to be a risk because the base was just cracked wide open. So one big last fight for them, and Flannel. That was a very impressive game. I know you said they've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but that felt like a very high game, even though they were never able to secure that final Drake. That last one was kind of a fluke. I don't think anyone could really have guaranteed that. Like they came out of the respawn and immediately put that rocket down. So I don't think that was readable really from the side of Flannel. But I mean, besides that, they played a darn near perfect game. They were constantly putting pressure. Saint was doing some wacky stuff, but had the right ideas, was able to use those TPs effectively, was constantly pulling pressure and pulling manpower to other side to allow their team to take major objectives and to continue to push down other lanes. I think overall, this was a really good showing for Flannel. This might be the best showing for Flannel that we've seen from Flannel over both splits on the main broadcast.
Yeah, and I think it's really what we saw in this game is building on what was successful for them last week, which was sort of drafting around, getting something that Saint is comfortable in, allowing Saint to do what he does and sort of absorb pressure, and then the rest of the Flannel team just kind of work around that. Uh, Saint, even if Saint does not plan on absorbing that pressure, if you keep running at the enemy turret, they're gonna try and stop you. So they
They
will
have to
send
eventually.
whoever they need to stop you. And if they send too many players, the rest of Flannel can easily respond to that. We saw that last week. Flannel played a really clean game, largely off the back of just splitting up the side of DA. And then playing good macro. And we saw that again here. So I think Flannel have really, I think, actually have started to find a style that works for them as a team. Obviously, it's not perfect. We did have that little moment in the mid game, where they started giving over a few too many kills and losing a few too many fights. But once they got their footing again and were able to start playing around, splitting those objectives, it became good for Flannel as they are able to take out game one here and go up 1-0 against a team that I think a lot of people were expecting more from in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Flannel, we're definitely coming in as the underdogs, but with a game like that, I think a lot of people are thinking, or at least double thinking their power rankings. But of course, this is a best of three. There is still possible two more games to play, or Flannel might close this out in game number two. But either way, we are going to send to a brief intermission before we get there, give the players a little bit of time to get some water, use the bathroom, and all that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game number two in just a couple of minutes. Alrighty, everyone. We are getting into draft number 2 for game number 2 between High Alert and Flannel. I think everyone, we were talking about it at the end of the last game, but everyone was kind of expecting a lot more from High Alert here. They were the favorites going in, but Flannel with a bit of an upset and a really solid win, Becky. What are you expecting? Are we expecting anything drastically different? I know we are switching sides, so Flannel are going to be on the blue side this time.
Yeah, the main thing here is that Flannel being on blue prevents them from going with the kind of the draft style that they had been sort of fine tuning, where were playing on red side. They go for that R3 top lane and then sort of get a cleaner entry for uh for Saint into that lane, get him a more favorable matchup. But I think since they got the Kled in game one, there isn't really anything that I would imagine they're looking for in the top lane. So that'll be the main thing I think that may throw Flannel off is drafting on blue side. But on the main important thing is that opens them up a first pick opportunity for Melee Vayne. They don't have the Jinx this game, but there are still a lot of picks that Melee Vayne likes that are available to get here in potentially for this B1, or maybe they go for something more highly contested. I doubt we're going to see a mid lane pick. I think the jungle pools for these two junglers, they aren't exactly the same. They have similar picks because they're junglers, and there are like 4 good ones at any patch. As we do have the Sivir getting locked in. Not too surprised to see the Melee Vayne pick up on that B1. I am surprised to see a horse getting hovered here. Been a while since we've seen some horse action. Last time I saw a Hecarim was when I was playing the set revival for TFT Remix Rumble. So I don't know. It's been a bit since we've seen horse gaming, and the horse will be locked in. The horse is here, and the Ashe will follow it up.
Yeah, I do think we saw one. I think Final Boss, don't quote me on this, but I think Final Boss may have operated a Hecarim in playoffs of last split. So it's not been crazy long, but it's definitely not a normal thing. I think that was the only time we'd seen a Hecarim in the entirety of the LFA since its reformation. So yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. Pairing up with that Ashe technically could be a flex to do either the support or the ADC, but you'd imagine that is going to be an ADC. Support is definitely falling a little bit out of that marksman meta that it used to be in. But Sivir, obviously a really strong, really good ADC, can kind of just sit back and just free farm damage. Paired up with the Xin Zhao, we've been seeing a lot more of them, both in like high level pro play and here in the LFA. Just a really solid, it has a lot of setup possibilities as well as just a lot of pure damage. So they can both set up the rest of the team if they fall a little bit behind, but they can also just outright carry if need be. We do see the Mord, the Sin of Aegis, is going to be operating. I'm assuming so. If that's a Mord, jungle or mid, I'd go crazy. But that
We
is an
actually
interesting pickup.
Flannel has played more jungle. I believe we have seen Angrotus play that. But I don't think we're going to see Xin Zhao go into lane. That is what is not likely to see here. So I imagine we will see
Don't you know,
more.
Becky? Don't you know? It's a new meta. We go Xin Zhao support, and then we do Mordekaiser in the jungle. It throws everyone off. No one's ready for it.
Audacious Charge kind of goes crazy, though. That's the thing. That's what you don't understand.
But you'd imagine, but you never know. But yes, it's probably a more top lane. Ashe is pretty much secured to be going in the ADC role as the Nami is picked up. So Ashe with the Enchanter is not a bad pairing. Definitely not, the standard of the current meta, but it's definitely not a bad pairing whatsoever. We continue to see that Syndra get banned away. Obviously, they're expecting Metro to pick in the second, try to get that counter, seeing especially as they have the last pick now. So taking away that champion, the highest person champion in the entire game, by the way. I think this is the first week that's been the case where it's not been Jinx. It's Syndra this week. That's insane. 56% pick ban is crazy. So that being stolen away from Metro is going to be interesting, but obviously we saw them rock Renekton, and they did pretty good, even though they lost. It was still a bit of a rough game overall. So I would not say that's down to the Renekton pick. So Metro, interested to see what they go for. Obviously, that Silas is also going to be targeted, but Lissandra's being open, is still open, excuse me. So they are GS going to hover, and I imagine this is going to be a pretty easy pickup. Another champion that Metro just knows how to play real well.
Yeah. Lissandra certainly not the most thrilling of picks, but it is something Metro is comfortable with. Uh, maybe not the joke of the Metro flowchart maybe is a bit old at this point. Considering we haven't seen Fizz in forever, the champ is real bad. So you're not going to see Fizz anytime soon. But Lissandra is another champion that it is good for lockdown. The main concern is that her damage is not that high. It
Yeah.
is okay in the early to mid game, but in the later stages of the game, Lissandra's damage is kind of embarrassing compared to a lot of other mages. And I imagine Flannel will try and find something that will be that sort of higher damage pick to outscale the Lissandra, because you likely aren't going to necessarily get a free win lane versus Lissandra, but you can definitely outscale her.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be the main pick here. The interesting thing is, why are we saving our top lane pick? And
That's what I was kind of thinking too.
why are we blinding Lissandra? Unless it's Lissandra top, which has not never been done.
Is there ever a world where it's Hecker? There's no world where it's Hecarim top, right?
Hecarim lane, I feel like is horrible.
No. Okay.
You should never do
Okay.
that. Okay, so wait, we picked Ornn into Mordekaiser? Uh,
Okay. So that's one of the picks of all
um,
time. Obviously, Ornn is going to struggle into the more, though Ornn is one of those champions that you just kind of like can
the way
neutral pick
doesn't
and
matter.
do fine with. Yeah.
Yeah,
So why the question comes, why do you not R4 Ornn when you already know that Mord has to be going top and you leave the counter to your like number one player in Metro who has the highest impact and makes it so they don't have to go Lissandra into the Akshan. Definitely definitely choices being made by High Alert here. I don't hate the team composition, but the way it was picked has definitely given Flannel a lot of room to breathe and a lot of room to take control of the draft.
yeah. High Alert, I think, have kind of just been this game. They just decided to, draft in a vacuum. They turned off their monitor and just picked the champions that they want to build a team comp. They aren't, I don't think, necessarily this game really caring about who their opponents are. They're just like, we want to build something with good team fight. So let's pick up Ornn. Let's pick up Lissandra. Let's pick up Ash here. And High Alert have drafted a team that is very good in skirmishes and especially full team fights. They have a lot of lockdown and they have a lot of ability to kill one guy in particular with the Ash and Lissandra. But unfortunately, I think one of the things that I'm really worried about with this High Alert comp is that your damage is gonna have to come a lot from Hecarim. And that is
Yeah.
scary. Because Hecarim is a champion that is very much a feast or famine kind of jungler, especially if you're doing the more carry-oriented style of Hecarim. It really is just, if you fall behind trying to do a DPS Hecarim build, you never come back into the game. It feels horrible. You're functionally useless. Uh, and that is compared to the. I will say the damage isn't too high on the side of Flannel. They don't have any of those monster hyper carries, but Mordekaiser, Sivir, and Akshan all do fairly good amounts of damage, and they are also very good at splitting fights. Which, you know, Mordekaiser being able to take one person out of a fight, specifically when Ornn calls his horn down and you click the R button on him, he can't use the second part of it, which is why, you know, Flannel was smart in their counter pick of Mordekaiser onto the Ornn, right? That's what happened in the draft, is
Yeah.
Mord was picked after Ornn, right? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Sure. That would be intelligent. Um yeah, no. I too do worry a little bit, especially for that Hecarim, because I agree, very feast or famine. I also worry because Hecarim early game does struggle a lot. Gets most of their value by going in heavily, especially once they have their ultimate. But by the time they have their ultimate, they don't have all the itemization that they need to really have the sustainability to dive so deep into the back line. Especially when you're diving into like an Ornn and a Lissandra, it's not amazing. Or excuse me, into like a Mordekaiser or Xin Zhao, excuse me. So I do worry. But that being said, I, I do want to point something out here, Becky. And that as I say that, and as you say that, my mortal nemesis is on high alert. And that is Deathmaster Pawns, the player who constantly picks the Nocturne, the same kind of champion that I fear has that very high feast or famine capabilities. And it seems like every single time I go and say, man, there's no way they're going to get value out of this, he seemingly does, and he does super well. So I
Yeah.
am I am not going to sit here and say it is doomed because I refuse to be proven wrong by that man again. But it is definitely going to be an uphill battle, I would say. I would also lean towards Flannel in this regard. I think they just have a lot easier of win conditions, especially in the mid game.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it is. It's going to be tough for High Alert, but also I I've again seen a lot of Flannel games. I doubted them last game and they won. But I'm gonna doubt them again. Something horrible is gonna happen. I can feel it in my bones. Hecarim's about to go 12-7 or something. Uh, and just dominate the game. So with that said, anything else to say before we throw out to a break?
Honestly, I think we've kind of wrapped it on up. It took a little bit long because one of our players had a bit of a technical issue. But I think this definitely is going to be a game decided by the junglers. Obviously, Angrotis had a really good game in the last one. Deathmaster Pawns definitely struggled a little bit more, but if they can come online with this Hecarim, I would not be surprised if this could drag out a win for High Alert. So I would say while the top lane is probably going to be the most fun to watch, the most impactful matchup is going to be those two junglers. But that being said, we are going to send it to a brief break to allow spectator delay to do its thing. We'll be back with game number 2 in just a little bit. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting in the game here as we do see High Alert and Flannel face off in game number 2 of week 5 of the LFA. A lot to play for here between these two teams. Again, as we mentioned before, High Alert definitely the favorite coming into this, but getting a bit sucker punched by Flannel, having an incredibly good game. We do see the side swapped, but that's really the only big difference here, as it is still a practically a very similar 5-point to what we saw in game number 1. Neither team wanting to give too much away, neither in information or damage. Though we do see a little bit of pressure on that mid lane from Flannel. I doubt it's going to really result in anything crazy. And Greta's just saying hi.
Yeah. Angrotus is trying to, say hello to his enemies here. Did not go very well last week. As in game one of last week's series, come on, we're just gonna dance. Nobody hit each other. All right. In last
We're
week's
all
series,
responsible adults.
oh,
Oh God,
Angrotus knows!
Grotus! No, why would you do it?
He wasn't hitting S. You gotta hold S if you want to do that. Otherwise, you start just auto attacking. It's real sad. Um, But in game one of the series last week, Angrotus went up to dance in the mid lane, and the entirety of Divine Ascension collapsed on him, and he had to burn Flash and recall as minions spawned, and his level 1 got absolutely destroyed. It was so sad, and Divine Ascension deserved to lose that game because of that. And I'm glad that they did. It was cringe and lame, no fun allowed. As Metro is experiencing what might be a no fun zone, taking a ton of damage here. Our early lane, the first wave here, not looking amazing for Melee Vayne, who has not been picking up a lot of these minions. But for right now, looking at kind of the junglers here, Hecarim is starting on top side, will likely path to bot. Xin Zhao gonna be kind of mirroring that, looking to, I guess, make the most of this top lane. One of kind of the real big twist one of the things we need to kind of be looking for here, I think, as the game develops, is the roams off of Akshan. As, okay, the hookshot will not allow Akshan to get away, but Hecarim actually takes the brunt of damage there as the turret has the sniper scope, get the extra range, and shoots Deathmaster Pons in the back. That's sad.
Yeah, and we do see a bit of a wet noodle fight up in the top lane. Canatin actually getting very low here. Metro coming back with a vengeance. Obviously now has to pop their pot just to kind of stay in. And Greta's is actually counter jungling. Deathmaster Pons has to pop Ghost to get away. Will do so, but it's going to cost them a bit of their jungle. They're going to lose blue buff off that.
Yeah. If you, I guess the invade does pan out here, as Saint is going to take a little bit of damage here, does have the shield and heal to rely on. Uh, Trading Ghost for Flash, I think, is all right if you are Deathmaster Pones, but the main thing here is it might open up an opportunity for Metro to get jumped on, but with the Icy Claw, we just dip out and have nothing to fear. As now Melee Vayne on his lonesome in the bot lane is just going to get bullied by the Nami here. And now it's actually Saint who's in a little bit of a sticky situation. Does have the shield. You don't want to keep going, bud. Please stop. As now Angrotis is going to decide to jump in there. The Ring of Frost will root him up, but they're not really going to try and fight this out anymore. Deathmaster Pones. Angrotis just trying to get some poke out here. What are we doing? What's going on, Angrotis? What? We get first blood, but now Saint is going to try and fight this out. You're at no HP, buddy. You got to stop.
Okay, so that is going to be 2 kills. Going over to high alert pretty early. That's going to give him a nice little bit of gold. Maybe a little overzealous from Angrotis there, and a little greedy from Saint of Aegis to stay in that jungle, having been so low. There's one thing going up against the very weak and still under-leveled Hecarim. Another thing going up against the Lissandra that's not, or excuse me, the Ornn. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a little rough. Not horrid, though. They are bringing back the golds in their pocket, though it's very slow as they're having to rely on CS, which I believe they are generally ahead on, especially when it comes to that top lane matchup. But that being said, first Drake is up, and I believe it is the Ocean Drake. So one of the weaker souls. Still pretty good, but one of the weaker half, I would say. So that's actually pretty good. So if the team is expecting and wanting to have a little bit more of an influential Drake soul to play for later in the game, that will be nice. Though I'd imagine, I think both of these teams, I don't think either one really have a standout, like, real notable hyper carry. So I think both of these teams are going to want to peak sometime around the mid game. So a very strong late game soul isn't going to be crucial for either of the team compositions, I'd say.
Yeah. Canada taking a little bit of a trade there, as now Saint is gonna get perhaps orned up here in the top side. Shield will go down, but we'll need to pop that to get the heal. Okay, we do have to flash, but we're just gonna get breathed on. Breath of Fire level 6 right here, as King of Spades will get the solo kill onto Mordekaiser, as expected, and now Angrotis is going to be in the fight here. Ocean Drake on the side of Flannel, or on the side of High Alert, will help secure that one, and now will die here, as Flannel looking a little worse for wear, and now we're just going to walk in 3v4, perhaps. Now that maybe some damage is dealt by the Ocean Drake, Can of Tin is around, could potentially get a reset revive, but will not be able to. And yeah, Deathmaster Pones will just be able to finish this one out very slowly. Good defense from High Alert to prevent any shenanigans from going on. And now the shenanigans have hit the Lulu, as Sunset Diner will get put into the dip bubble, as Deathmaster Pones is going to be on a ward and actually die horribly. So that is a kill going over to Flannel that they probably didn't deserve, but they will take. And now the Death Realm will be pulled out here for King of Spades, as Saint trying to land these abilities, not hitting the obliterates that he needs to. Okay, never mind, on the bot line here, we have an Aqua Prison. Angrotis being put into the dip bubble, but going in for the flash and knock up into the impaling. Wind becomes lightning, as now King of Spades back in the top side trying to get the Breath of Fire in, but will not get that clap. And the pillar stops his dash to close the gap. Saint's at no HP. He's gonna try and turn it. Got the shield, the pullback, and now Metro's gonna die in the mid lane. There's a dive in the mid lane as well. Deathmaster Bones is gonna clean up on top side, get the kill back, but the madness continues. Oh, mama.
craziness across the entire rift. Somehow this bot lane that has a Sivir and an Ashe, both characters who are probably very strong in the early to mid, are not finding a lot to do here early. But man, and Grotus and Deathmaster Pawns, I said that this was the matchup to watch out for, and man, have they lived up to it. Both just having so much impact across the entire map. We do see Deathmaster Pawns start and is going to be able to take all three grubs. So that is going to be good for them. It's also going to also kind of amplify that first Drake that they were able to secure earlier. So in terms of major jungle objectives, that is going to be really good for them, especially as that brings them to 2 taken so far. It means they're only 1 major jungle objective away from securing the feats of strength. So, oh, excuse me, I just died a little bit. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, gold is even now for Flannel. Flannel and High Alert. Flannel having a slight lead, but the objectives currently in favor of High Alert, who've taken everything neutrally on the map, the first Drake and the round of Grubbin. So I guess it comes down to Flannel. What can they do to kind of even this out as the game continues? They do theoretically have a higher ceiling later in the game, as Saint's going to get found. Wait, why is Saint on Raptors? What's happening? Okay, actually, this is all calculated, as now Metro's going to have to pop ulti to give themselves a little bit of survivability. The Xin Zhao knockback actually goes through and will not save Metro, as that is going to be, ooh, the wonder shot. A very impressive field goal there from Civil. I feel like had a higher chance of hitting than missing, which is unusual for an Ashe arrow. And it did find the way to miss, threading the needle there. It's Melee Vayne going to try and get the fight here with the On the Hunt. The tidal wave will fire back as Sunset Diner going to take a lot of damage here from the Rangers' focus fire of the Ashe. And now on the top side, the Ornn Horn goes in the absolute wrong direction, but the HP is so high for King of Spades here. Saint is going to fight it out anyways. No healing, no regen, just the shield and a dream. Will try and just get the obliterates here, and Grotus going to go for the smite, going to try and get this, cannot get the wind become lightning. Will hover around, attempting to snipe it, but does not make it happen, as now Can of Tin will not be focused up here. Deathmaster Pawns was around. In the bot side, bot lane turret taking a lot of punishment. HP bars are low everywhere on the map here, it feels like, as fights just keep happening.
Yeah, a lot of skirmishing. And actually, I'm actually surprised that we have not seen too much value coming out of the revival from Canatin. Obviously, that revival aspect of Akshan is the real big piece of that kit that brings a lot of value to the team. So we have not seen too much of it, but keep that in mind for when we start getting into the next couple minutes when team fights are going to become more and more common, more like 4v4 or 5v5 team fights rather than these like 2v3s and 3v3s that we've been seeing. So we do see yet another skirmish, as these teams both just seemingly don't want to stop fighting.
Yeah, Ring of Frost will root up Sunset Diner. The Gigantify will go down. The Onslaught of Shadows will fear up Sunset Diner, securing that one, as now Canatin's going to be the target here. No Way Out will just be a secured kill right there. Tidal Wave will tag Melee Vayne, but with Angrotus nearby, is able to get out. Now Angrotus is going to be targeted here, so he decided to engage in 1v4, and now Deathmaster Pawns has found an opportunity to go in and pick up another 2, and somehow Saint died on top lane again? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
A little bit of overstaying the welcome up on top line. Say just continuing to put pressure onto this Ornn, and just really, I believe it's a little bit of over reliance on that W, that extra heal and the shielding from the Mordekaiser, but it's just not enough. I mean, Ornn is the best assassin tank bruiser ADC in the game, so you always are kind of at a bit of a disadvantage. And they're taking advantage of Saint of Aegis really relying on holding out using that W until the most opportune time. But by the time it's popped, they just kind of capitalize and burst them down very quickly. So it's been a little rough for them up on the top lane. But meanwhile, that fight just goes the way of High Alert on the bot side. A little bit of over aggression. I like what Angrois is doing. They're able to get a lot of value out of the kills and damage that they're doing, but they're constantly at a disadvantage. They're constantly in 2v3s and 3v4s. Okay, and Metro's okay.
Metro just gonna get a solo onto Can of Tin. Yeah, of course. Why not? Just who cares anymore? As say, why are we still fighting? I'm sorry. I'm on the real stream. I can't say what I really think about what's going on right now here. As we do have a fight going out here, the Ash arrow will land onto Sunset Diner, who will almost certainly go down on the back there. Will not be saved by the team, as now it looks like Flannel's just gonna get pinched. The Gigantify will at least stop Deathmaster Pones from getting momentum there, but that is gonna be another pretty easy pickup for High Alert, as Saint is, believe it or not, still fighting the Ornn, and believe it or not, still losing, as we still don't have a healing item. You can't do this, man.
Yeah, the rallies is nice and it does help with gap closing. However, that's not really necessary in the Ornn fight. Ornn is going to want to be on top of you anyway, and is going to want to punish you for doing so. So while it's very helpful, especially in these team fights, like situations like this, you're not going to get value out of it. As Saint of Aegis has kind of trapped themselves in the death realm.
Yeah, dropping the Death Realm there just to try and get stats. I don't even know what Saint was doing on that wave at no HP. I can't even possibly guess what's going through his head right now, as all the good things we saw about Flannel last game have seemingly all disappeared. There's very little cohesion in what they're doing. There's very little planning around the map right now. It's all just kind of, we're gonna walk at our opponents and they might kill us. And they have been, which, wow, big surprise. The team with a lot of CC kills you. Who could have seen that one coming? I'm unbiased. This is not a biased stream. But come on, man. What's going on? They played so well in game one. That's, I think, the most disappointing thing about this. Is now Metro gonna get into a scuffle with Canatin. Canatin looking like he's gonna be on the advantage here, at least until the Frozen Tomb goes down. We'll buy time, and now Canatin's going to be the target of Deathmaster Pones, who will onslaught of shadows into that kill. Angroda's going to trade one back onto Civil. Flannel actually getting a shutdown there, maybe in the driver's seat of this fight, as this Hecarim is squishy. Never mind, that was the onslaught of shadows coming through, as that will be another pickup and another shutdown going into Melee Vayne this time, as High Alert have given over a charitable donation to the side of Flannel. King of Spades going to keep the fight going with the Ornn Horn, almost certainly going to get the kill on Angrotis. That's going to be a clap right there on to the Xin Zhao. And Saint has walked into mid to die horribly, and will in fact do so. That's a doubler for King of Spades. Canatin is going to be here, but will not be able to get any kind of resets unless he decides to randomly fight 1v2, and it looks like he will, as he's gonna get the knock-up. We're gonna see the Frost Tomb come out again. That cooldown is disgustingly low. We'll get it!
Okay. Becky's so crazed that the mic cut out because it peaked too hard. Yeah, double revive coming out from Canatin. That's exactly what they wanted, and they find it. That's going to be huge for Flannel. It's going to keep him in. It's a little bit of self-healing after way too much over-aggression from Saint of Aegis and Angrotis. Again, I really like what Angrotis is doing, and they're in a good position, but they're constantly taking 2v3s and 3v4s, and in situations like that where the two of them are just too weak, but they try to take the 2v3 anyway, even though the rest of the team is not there to support. Sunset Diner is caught out a little bit, but with the support of Angrotis is going to be able to keep them at bay. Drake is up. They do find Metro though.
Metro will be the target here at the start of this fight.
Okay.
Deathmaster Pones is going to be on the side here, buying a little bit of time, a little bit of HP right now. Death Realm is being used by Saint. Angrotus is pretty low here. Metro's going to close the gap with the Frost Tomb. This is a very ugly looking fight as the knockup will come in from King of Spades. The CC is going to come down in on to all of Flannel. Saint will pick up the Nami on the back there as Melee Vayne tries to fight out, and what is going on? Never mind, Canatin has gotten the resets! We get one, we're trying to get two! No, the boomerang does not hit! We get two people back alive. Importantly, we got Angrotus back alive. So there will be no Drakes going over to high alert.
Yeah, and I said it a couple minutes ago. Keep an eye for when we see those 5v5s. Those revivals are going to be massive. And the fact that Angrotus is the one that comes up, like he said, they're just not able to capitalize on it. Though they are going to try to solo it, at least for the time being. Everyone else just spawning, but the rest of high alert is coming down. They've been made aware of the presence there, and they have to back away. So pretty much just a leash, as you put it earlier, and I don't think Angrotus is going to be able to do anything. We're just going to have to sit back and watch as high alert take the Drake that they had gotten so low. So maybe a little bit of misplay there. Probably should have just focused on keeping the lanes in a pretty good state, regrouping, waiting for the rest of their team to respawn. But instead, that Drake, despite the big revival, does go the way of high alert. They're at 3 Drakes now. It is a Cloud Soul that they are playing for, one of the best ones in the game. Can of Tin would greatly appreciate it, but so would that Ashe. Ashe would get so much value out of a Soul.
Yeah, Ashe would really love the Soul here. As we do have, believe it or not, Saint of Aegis taking a fight. Will go into the Death Realm. Does have the HP advantage right now, but here comes the Ornhorn. Will get popped into the Mordekaiser, and enough time has passed, and... what... Maybe Orn was a counterpick in the Mordekaiser. Maybe Orn was the counterpick. He knew something I didn't.
Ever consider the Yasuo top lane?
Yeah. Melee Vayne has taken like every form of CC here, and they're both just dead in the mid lane. Oh man.
Hey, you are absolutely correct. This is a little disappointing to see coming out from Flannel, especially because last game was so good. There was a couple of moments where you kind of doubt it, and they threw away a couple of deaths. But, okay.
Metro tried to get the charge in and didn't, and now we've revived Sunset Diner. I don't think it's gonna change anything because we're still too far away from the Otacon. Unless we just like walk in and get the Smite Steal, which we are not going to.
You say that. Okay, they do just walk in. They do perish though, and the rest.
Yeah, they walk in and perish here. There's just so much CC on the side of High Alert's roster. We see one by one they will fall as just one piece of CC hits, and then the whole chain follows. And it's just, we all walked in one at a time to die horribly in this one. And yeah, High Alert have just taken everything and more this game, as Flannel have gotten nothing. No turrets, no neutral objectives. I'm pretty sure every turret is at or almost at full HP for High Alert this game. It's looking a little grim. Things are looking a little grim for Flannel. It's not over. We've seen High Alert play a little fast and loose this game and give over some opportunities, but it's certainly looking a little grim.
Yeah, definitely so. They did use the Rifty on that mid lane. It did get the tier 1. It did not take the tier 2. So that tier 2 is still, never mind. I was wrong. I believe the tier 2 is actually gone in the mid lane. So the entirety of the jungle for Flannel has practically been cracked open. There is nowhere safe to go. They are having to invest so many wards just to keep vision there to make sure that they're not walking into traps, which is not great because that means they have so little control that they are not able to really get control of vision for the major jungle objectives that they need to kind of get back into this game. So not amazing. We do see Kenneton take that turret, so that's going to be an extra bit of gold, especially with bounty, but I think they're just dead. There's nothing they could really do. It's a 1v2 yet again. But it's some gold, but that's also a 40-second timer. Drake is up in 1:10. You would imagine High Alert are going to want to play for this Drake Soul pretty quickly. And while Canada will be up, they'll be on a reset. And a lot of the build-up for that fight is going to be done without one of their main damage dealers right now.
Yeah. On the bot side here, Metro will pick up this inner turret. So that's just getting a little more standing gold off the map. I guess the important thing here is Flannel do have a lot of I guess if we're downing some copium, there is a lot of standing gold on the map for Flannel potentially to pick up, as we are going to engage onto Deathmaster Pones, who is not the tankiest member, but here comes the Oran Horn to try and clean this one out. A great knockback from Angrotus to try and stop the Oran Horn, but it is all for naught, as Saint is going to pull him into the Death Realm, but not even land the Obliterate. 3 and 10 on the Mordekaiser this game. An absolute shadow of what we saw in game 1, as now it's just Canatin and Melee Vayne all trying to defend the base here. We do have the Hecker and Deathmaster Pones just staying and picking up that Cloud Soul, and we'll get this inhib for certain if we're High Alert, and we can just peel back. Baron is up in 10 seconds. I can't imagine Flannel can fight it.
Yeah, I actually like the adaptation there from High Alert. Obviously, early on, well, it did not go terribly out of their favor because of some misplays from Flannel. They definitely were punished a little bit because of these revives from the Akshan. So seeing everyone just kind of clump up together, while it's a little risky, man, they want this Death Bush so bad. They completely remove after they were spotted in the one, just go to sit in another one. There's no recalls. They are just sitting here waiting for someone to expect them to be sitting on the Baron. Is anyone gonna fall for it? And Canatin, I think, got a 6th sense there and got close, but went, nope, I'm not.
This is wrong.
Something feels fishy here.
This doesn't happen in real life. This is fake. You realize that there's nothing going on here.
It's like when you see something that's uncanny valley. Something's like, something's not right here. I don't trust it. I'm just gonna walk away, spare my life. They were able to pick up the soul as well, so we mentioned that Ashe is gonna get a lot of value from that Cloud Soul. They have secured it, and now on top of that, they are wearing purple. So that is very much not great for Flannel. Like you said, there's a lot of standing gold for them to secure around the map, but now with all these extra buffs and no real buffs for themselves having been secured, it's going to be very difficult for them to fight to take them. So we are now looking at win conditions for High Alert. Saint of Aegis, yet again, in a 1v2.
Yep, Saint is doing his best this game. Don't ask what that is. Angrotus is gonna be there, get caught and lose. Then Melee Vayne will just die here, and that's a full ace. This is a Baroned up team. We have nothing to fear. There's nothing left to stop us, and Flannel have completely folded this game. Have been folded, washed, and put away back into the back into the cupboard, or, you know, into the dresser drawer, where we will not be looking at it again for another few minutes.
Yeah, that is going to be the game going over to High Alert, and you must say it is a rather dominant fashion, seeing as the only thing Flannel was able to really secure was one turret on the bot side, which was immediately punished. It was rough. It was a rough watch. Flannel, again, I mean, you said it and I said it a little bit before. It's mostly just a bit of disappointment at this point. They had a really, really good game 1, and they really showed highlights. And it's like they took everything that they did well in game number one and threw it out the window. A lot of overextension, a lot of greediness, trying to take 2v3s pretty consistently, even though they were behind. Overall, High Alert, it wasn't even like a spectacular game for High Alert. Flannel just kind of handed them the win at certain points in the game. So it's rough. It's not the end of it. Again, it's the best of three, and Flannel won the first one. So they're definitely not out yet, but we're gonna have to see something drastically different, or at least bring it back to deja vu of map one if we want to see Flannel have a chance of securing map three here.
Yeah, I think if Flannel go back to red side, I think that's where they've been more comfortable in terms of pick ban. So that I think will benefit them. But at the same time, they got a good matchup for top lane this game. So
Yeah.
that was not the problem. I think it just kind of came down to really poor execution and fumbling into a lot of just bad positions. Uh, Sort of maybe disrespecting the lockdown of Lysandra and Ashe and Nami. A lot of times you saw an Aqua Prison would hit Sunset Diner or uh, a an Enchanted Crystal Arrow will just tag somebody. Uh, Turns out there is plenty. If you don't let your opponents get the tankiness to negate your sort of middling damage, you just kill them. Uh, So yeah, I think there was a lot more I wanted to see from Flannel this game. I feel like it could have been a lot better, and hopefully next game they come in with a better game plan because if they can do that and we get a repeat of game one, like you said, it's gonna be they could potentially clean the series up in a bit of an upset.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, to get that far, we need to get the game three. So we're going to send it over to a brief intermission. Yet again, let the players get a drink of water, maybe get Flannel to get their brains back in their skulls. And we will be back for game number three in just a couple of minutes. Alrighty, we are getting underway. Draft has already begun, and we're already seeing the familiar suspects. The one downside of the Fearless Draft is seeing as there's no need to ban away champions that you find out are really strong against your opponents. You kind of just get to keep the same bans throughout the entire process. So nothing too surprising that we're seeing the same 6 get taken off the board immediately. And we do see that immediate B1 pick, rather than put a lot of emphasis or prio onto the ADC like we have been seeing, Flannel instead choose to go for the J4, and they choose to stay on the blue side.
Yeah, I will say, I noticed that they stayed blue side, and I do think that is kind of interesting. I feel like they found a lot of success drafting on red side, but, there are a lot of disadvantages to being on red side in draft, so I think getting that first pick, Flannel feel that that is more important than getting the counter pick or getting that R3 into double ban that they've been doing in other rounds of draft. So we do get the J4 pickup early for Angrotis, getting something very stable and safe. And High Alert have gone for the Zyra and and I guess more interestingly here, the Vayne, a very exploitable AD carry, but one that has a very high damage ceiling in what I imagine will be the bot lane. Hold up. I'm being informed here by the words switching on the screen. It's actually Flannel red side, which makes more sense because guess who Flannel have? Uh Melee Vayne.
Melee Vayne.
But
Yeah.
I will say, as somebody who has watched Melee Vayne in various draft leagues for a while, he actually kind of dropped priority on the champion because it's kind of cheeks. And especially into situations like this where you pick Vayne early and then you don't get to have any fun whatsoever because your opponents can just pick Caitlyn and Karma. I'm the kind of I know this is wholly just like a side thing, but one thing I did when I was playing more regularly in North, if there was ever somebody who picked Vayne into a top laner, when I was playing with friends, I'd be like, swap roles. I'm gonna play Caitlyn top, and I'm gonna make that Vayne top miserable. And it worked every time. It's hilarious how awful Vayne is into Caitlyn. She just has no fun, absolutely zero fun. And this is going to be a Zyra jungle with Sona supporting the Vayne.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe Zyra Jungle actually, not very recently, but semi recently did get a nerf. So that is an interesting thing to see get picked up. But I don't believe she has been nerfed to the ground. She's just a little bit weaker than she was back when she was one of the go tos a couple months ago. So that's something to look out for. Do imagine, obviously, this top and mid lane pickup for Flannel to be a lot more AD focused, seeing as they already have 2 pretty big AP champs. And you'd imagine there has to be some form of tankiness here because those are all very squishy. So I'd imagine we do see, however, High Alert is going to go and continue to ban out that Rise, which we saw. So Flannel have been making some small adjustments with their second ban is in the second ban phase, but that Syndra has been the go-to. Obviously, who would want to see Metro operate that Syndra? It would be a scary proposition. So they say no. We do see the Zed ban. We were talking in between games, Becky, I, and Giggle, and we were saying Zed would be fun to see, but High Alert say no. No,
Go
no
to bed,
Zed.
everyone.
No, no,
No Zed, go bed. As we do have Saint has decided to channel the power of dying repeatedly into picking the Scion pick. This is actually it's like in Super Smash Bros. Melee, like you have to do a specific thing to unlock a character. After dying 10 times randomly, Saint actually unlocked the ability to play Scion in draft. So this is actually a huge benefit for him to do that. He now is
yeah.
the
The
blind
spirit
the
of
blind
Baus.
Scion. Oh, this is no good. Oh no. It could be Darius Mid. It could be Darius Mid. I doubt it. But I have
Going into a
seen Metro
counter,
play
probably.
Darius mid before.
Oh, there you go. You said it. You spoke it into existence. You said,
Oh, this
it's probably
champ's
not
so
gonna be any
good,
fizz
man.
because it's so weak. But here we go. It's gonna be a fizz. That being said, Flannel do have the counter. Um, though it is gonna be interesting. There is technically a world in which the Scion goes mid. Um,
It's
I don't know
not
why,
impossible.
but it's not impossible. That would give them the advantage. It would also counter the fizz. Just be a matter of then you would kind of have a weird composition. Obviously, having to pick into the Darius. We do see the
It's a
Cassidon. Makes sense.
win.
Just able to kind of teleport away constantly has to get out of jail free card, especially when you have a character like Fizz who will just be on your butt the entire game. So that's a really strong pickup, and that's why you love to see those counter picks come through. Um, Overall, I think we're in a very similar position to what we saw in the last game, where there's definitely some interesting picks from Flannel that can get a lot of value, but I definitely think High Alerts is a little bit more well rounded. This composition, I think, has just a lot more means of winning. There's a lot more paths to victory here, but the question mark is that Fizz. Obviously, Metro is the one operating it, so it could be terrifying. But like you said, Fizz is not in a very good state. So if Fizz can't find a way of getting ahead, can't find a way of dealing with this Cassidy, can't find kills onto this Cassidy, I could see a world in which this does go very wrong for High Alert. But the rest of the team, I think, rounds out very well, very evenly. They obviously, when I kind of do a front to back, the Darius and the J4 are going to do a very good job of keeping the front line busy, and this Fizz is going to keep the back line busy to allow Karma and Caitlyn to just kind of free fire from the back. So I like the High Alert composition, but there's definitely a couple cracks in the armor that Flannel can exploit.
Yeah, I think that Flannel's roster, this is a team where we are absolutely pointing at the clock and sweating. This we got Mr.
Eh,
16, we have Vayne, we have Scion as well. It's not like Scion is a slouch in the late game. He is a scaling tank pick after all. Uh, Even Zyra, although a lot of her power is more in the mid game fights, she does do pretty well picking up a bunch of items, and Sona is one of the few supports that scales. So Flannel have decided that we are all going to just try and point at the clock, and if we don't die horribly before 35 minutes, we can win. I don't think that that's possible, unfortunately, because we are playing into Darius, who is insanely good in the early mid game. We are playing into Caitlyn, who will crush you in bot lane, and we are playing into Fizz, who is also at his most powerful in the early mid game. And that's not even to excuse the J4. So we are it really feels like, based on what I'm seeing here, that High Alert have drafted a very, I guess, a very red composition. They are looking to
yeah.
play aggro this game, and we're not getting that. That could be a huge threat for the more scaling late game composition for Flannel, and it makes me very worried, especially after the kind of disastrous game last game from Flannel. I don't know if they've got the power to make it happen. I want to believe, because I do think that the Flannel roster is hype. I like Cassidon. I like Vayne. I like Sona. Sona's my most played champ, but I don't believe.
I
I'm afraid I don't believe anymore. It,
I
it just feels like we get absolutely destroyed in the mid game and there's no hope.
I do also worry because I wanted to do a little bit of scouting to see, and as far as I can tell, there is really no history of a Scion top coming out from State of Ages' recent games, nor is there a Caston coming out of Canatins. Um, so that's a little scary. That being said, obviously their matchups both have played quite a few games of each. I do also have to say I'm rather sad because I had made the joke earlier of, have they ever considered going Yasuo top? And fun fact, the answer is yes. They actually have a 67% win rate with Yasuo top.
Of
So
course.
I wish we kind of I wish we kind of saw that, maybe for the meme of it. But yeah, I do agree. I think this is definitely going to be High Alert's game to lose. Flannel's game to desperately try to win. If they can keep everything under control and keep their more violent tendencies to want to take 2v3s and 3v4s under control and just keep the game state neutral to allow them to scale, I think there is absolutely a world. However, Flannel would need to change up the game plan and the mentality from game two pretty drastically to do so. So I definitely think this is High Alerts to lose, but we will just have to wait and see. Game number 3 of week 5's game of the LFA, High Alert versus Flannel. Oh my god, I lost my train of thought. Flannel, coming to you in just a couple of minutes. Alrighty, everybody. We are underway. Game number 3 between High Alert and Flannel. We have not seen anything crazy yet, and there we go. It cannot be a night of the LFA without a technical pause. We do see one come out immediately. We've seen a pretty standard start from both sides. Obviously, 5 points across the board. Nothing too crazy except the unforgivable poke from Angrotis. Maybe the thing that cost Flannel their game last after dancing in mid lane. But besides that, nothing too crazy from any of the starts. Going to be interesting to see if we get any alterations to that. Maybe a death push. I know High Alert was trying to get one in the late stages of last game. Maybe they'll try to do something to start this one.
Yeah, you know, as somebody again, as somebody who's watched a lot of Flannel, this is also something that's been a common thing throughout the season is pauses and especially technical issues. I can't see in game, so I don't know who's having the technical issue, but I know it's 100% Angrotis. Without looking, I can guarantee there's it's literally it can't be anyone else. It has to be Angrotis exactly who is having the technical issue. Uh,
I,
we I don't
I will
know.
say, when we had the technical issue in the draft phase in game 2, it was
It was
Angrotis.
also Angrotis.
I
Last
think
week,
you're right. I think you're right. You're right, Sherlock. I think you're on the right path there.
yeah, last week he was playing on like McDonald's Wi-Fi. He was disconnecting every 3 minutes. And it got to a point where his team just stopped pausing. They were just like, "Oh, he'll be back. He'll be back when he needs to be." And you like they take something, they take an objective or get a fight win, and then it'd be a summoner is disconnected, and Zyro would walk back to base, and it's just it just didn't bother unpausing. Uh,
Yeah.
Saint is confirmed. It was Synchronous.
It is Angrotis.
Surprise.
We are gonna send it to a quick break to allow Angrotis to get his stuff together. We'll be back in just a minute or two. Alrighty, we are back. Notably, I have the I have the stream on in the background, so I heard myself. Sorry, we are back. Notably, the player has not returned yet, but we have hit the 10-minute mark, which means that Flannel do have all the rights to start the game back up, as each team only has 10 minutes of a technical pause before they have to get back into the game. So, unfortunately, right now, High Alert are without their jungler, Deathmaster Pawns, which is rough, to say the least, but rules are rules, and they are in place for a reason. So it's technically I guess a 5 and a 4-star point, but nothing too crazy. Even though Flannel have the advantage here, they're not taking advantage of it. A bit of good sportsmanship from the team. But yeah, that is going to be the current state of the game as the J4 is stuck in the shop.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but them's the breaks. Sometimes you just have to play without your whole team. Especially in these kinds of leagues, you can't just pause forever. Otherwise, it just feels awful. We all gotta get to bed at some time. Some of us sooner than others. So, unfortunately for Deathmaster Pones, too busy making dank memes instead of being here in the video game. So maybe he got called to dinner, considering he's 12 years old, or whatever. Who cares? In any case, it's going to be a 4v5 for a little bit. Hopefully not the entire game, because that would be very unfortunate for the side of High Alert. It'd be kind of anticlimactic here. But I guess if there's any way for Flannel to get out of this early game that has 3 losing lanes, this is it. The other enemy does not have a jungler, and Zyra is a great champion for kind of just power farming. She can just full clear her jungle and then go in and full clear the enemy jungle. And Melee Vayne and Sunset Line are taking a ton of punishment here. And unsurprisingly, Angrotus is taking advantage of the situation, going into the enemy jungle, and just gonna start clearing there.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's sad.
It's not a great
It's
position.
sad.
And there's also an irony in the fact that this game was kind of set up as like, oh, Flannel are finally facing like a really good team. Let's see if they can pull out a win against a team that's going to be at full strength, and they get to game 5, and the team's no longer at full strength. So it would be a little bit unfortunate. We do hope that they'll come back though. Regardless, they're now in a position where if they were to come back, they are going to be at a bit of a disadvantage because again, Angrotis is gonna have free reign of the entire jungle. So that is going to be a problem that High Alert have to deal with. Do you see Saint of Aegis continuing to take fights aggressively?
Okay, but he actually does. Okay, he's gonna die. I was thinking potentially if King of Spades was in an awkward spot, the zombie scion could have taken that. But yeah, we'll just drop here, and I mean, unexpected. Not too surprising that Darius wins early in this lane. Just as a champion with a lot of damage, Angrotis waiting over the wall, we're just gonna get the free kill onto Metro. Okay. Well, it is what it is, as Angrotis continues full clearing the entirety of the jungle. We're just gonna see Zyra walk in a circle this game, just going around to every camp. Wait, Scion is ganking bots?
Saint is in the bot lane.
Saint is in bot lane. We're gonna get the slow. He does get the slow tagged. The net is gonna get forced out of Civil here. We do still have all sums on the side of High Alert. Both flashes are gonna get blown. No roots are gonna come down. Saint is gonna charge up the slam, but it will not hit Civil as Angrotis flashes forward and tries to get damage. He's gonna die.
What is happening?
I won't certainly even lie. Cut out there. That
I won't even lie. I stepped away for a second to look at a stat real quick, and because I was expecting just everyone to fall there. How have I turned back and no one for High Alert dies?
Zyra dies. Oh, Devmaster Bones trying to reconnect. You get that? That's hopefully I think that is trying to reconnect right there. As we're losing a 4v5, everyone. Guys, hello? Help?
Yeah, that's a little rough. Current state of the game though. Now again, it's technically in favor of High Alert right now, but that is just a matter of time until their jungler comes back. Obviously, they're going to have to constantly be winning at a disadvantage. There's just going to be able to be at least one just kind of free roaming, as we can see here with the Sona. And Angrotis is just getting a free farm practically without any contention. No one's able to really leave their lane for anything. So Zyra is sitting on Drake and is taking it. Karma is going to be nearby, but I don't think they're going to be able to do anything. Saint of Aegis is on the top, as we do see actually a lane swap, which we have not seen since I think the beginning of the year, the first international tournament of the year for League of Legends Tier 1. After that event, there was a pretty heavy nerf to lane swapping, so we haven't really seen much of that. So to see it come out in Game 3, definitely interesting.
Yeah, you can't lane swap early anymore, but after the first few minutes have passed, you can actually choose to swap, and it's not too surprising to see Flannel take this opportunity, because Scion is not doing great into Darius, and of course Vayne is losing into the Caitlyn, who they gave a free kill for reasons that not known by God or man. So it's not too surprising that they will go ahead and do the swap here. However, and I will say they did do this last week. Flannel did execute, honestly, a really well done swap where they were constantly taking advantage over their opponents and forcing the enemies to just sort of follow them and lose out on XP and CS. However, in this game, High Alert doesn't care about the swap. They're okay with it because this doesn't change the fact that Caitlyn wins every lane, and in fact is going to kill
Saint. That's going to be the feat of warfare, by the way. That's the feat of warfare going to High Alert, being 4-5 down. So the first of the feats is going to go to them. They're also going to get a bit of damage onto this tier 1 down on bot side, though I don't think it's going to be anything of crucial notice.
Yeah, and it looks like High Alert are going to respond to Angrotis trying to farm camps as they High Alert have now taken their 4th kill in the 4v5.
Yeah. Okay. I was saying that High Alert were kind of going to be at a disadvantage the entire game, but they're proving me wrong. As just normal, Deathmaster opponents isn't even here, and I'm still being proven wrong by his team. But that is going to be good. A lot of pressure down on that bot side. They're going to get that recall. They're going to be able to go back and get some healthy items, especially as Caitlyn is 2-0-0. They're actually going to just straight buy their first item, which is going to be huge for them. Sunset is now back up on that top side. King of Spades is just kind of keeping this lane neutral. It does have 1 kill, but honestly, not giving up anything and just kind of continuing to put pressure on this bot. I say bot lane duo, but technically up on the top side. But this bot lane duo, just keeping it neutral. Obviously, he's not going to be in a great position against 2 ranged champions. So the fact that they're just allowing him to kind of get away with what he's doing is perfect for him.
I'm just kind of in disbelief right now. I'm sitting with my thoughts and like processing the information on my screen, and I really am like I'm grasping at straws. Straws are being Okay, we did it, folks. We got one. Somehow we got one there as Canifton will not die, actually. Was able to get enough distance with the Rift Walk to not die here, and now maybe Fizz will be the one in a bit of danger. Although Fizz does have the double buffs, so okay, we do see the troll pull go out, and now it's going to be up to if Canifton can take this and will not. Minion autos plus red buff burn plus the Trident, empowered Trident will do enough damage to take out the Kassadin here, as we've given over another kill. And unsurprisingly, we've lost our first turret into the bot lane because we sent Sion there to die.
They took the feats of strength.
They took the feats in a 4v5. And Angrotis is dead.
Conflict.
And Angrotis is alive. No, okay. He gets one. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Flannel have secured a Drake and 3 grubs. So it's not all doom and gloom. And in totality, they're only about 300 gold down. It's just one of those situations where the fact that they're only 300, or they were 300 gold down in the first place is crazy. But we're now starting to see some of these champions come online. King of Spades is starting to roam a lot more, putting a lot more pressure around the map, kind of acting as a pseudo jungler. Obviously, can't really do much to stop the farming of Angrotis, but can at least help out with some of the lane pressure that Flannel just have the advantage on.
Yeah, I think we kind of expected Flannel to be losing in the early game. If Deathmaster Pones was actually here, I feel like this would be a complete and total stomp. But I guess on the bright side, it's still a 4v5. So this is going to buy Flannel time for their comp to scale. And like you said, importantly, they are still getting neutral objectives. They got the Drake, they got the Grubs, but they did not get first turret. First turret went to Caitlyn, and the kills went to High Alert. So they got the feats of warfare, and now it looks like they're looking for another. It's going to be the pick here. We'll get pulled back into King of Spades. Going to go for a knockup, but will almost certainly die. Going to be burning down from the bleed. Will actually walk away here with his life. Did have to burn Flash, but is going to be fine with that. Melee Van going to be flashing forward onto Metro. Going to lose vision here. The troll pull will be enough to get him back to safety, as Melee Van just doesn't have nearly enough damage quite yet, as this is going to be a TP in from Saint, who will walk in to try and save this turret. Caitlyn actually taking a bit of damage there, but this will be a save that is not real, because Caitlyn's just going to walk up and hit this 4 times, and the turret will die anyways, especially because we walk into a trap. We may hit... No, we're not killing this card. We're not. Yeah, we're not.
Flash used? Yeah.
Flash is used?
No,
okay,
never mind.
We shouted, we screamed, shout, let it all out, and we did kill Civil there. So we traded 1 back, which is not nothing. But we did lose another turret. On the bright side, the second Drake does go over to Flannel. Again, unsurprisingly, they have objectives in the jungle. They are against a team without a jungler. But fortunately, big news, free boots are now in the inventory for Jarvan. So, because the slightly magical footwear timer has paid off, this is actually winnable. Because now Jarvan's gonna come back and have boots. This is free. This is big value. As Melee Vane's dead. Just dead. And Sona has blown Flash here. And may also die, and will
Metro gets out. So
gold is even. Gold is even.
The gold is just about even.
Monka S gold even. This I think is one of the most depressing things I've ever seen. Okay.
This is definitely one of the weirdest games I've ever had the pleasure of casting. Because typically it's not fun to cast a blowout. Because
this is not a blowout.
but it's not. It seems like it should be, because Flannel are getting all the objectives and they're just free jungling without any intervention. But Hyler also just keep killing them. They keep just winning fights that they have no right to be winning. So it feels like you should be in a blowout. Every time I see Hyler win, I go, oh god, they got another one. But I'm like, oh, but Flannel are fine, but they're really not. It is one of the strangest games.
Wow, Flannel are doing a good job of keeping the game even here. And then you look and realize it's a 4v5.
Oh
man.
God. Rifty is up. Rifty is available, so that is something to play for. And right now, practically all of Flannel are towards the bot side or back at spawn. So there is an opportunity for them to maybe secure the Rift Herald, which would be great for them, as they are doing a really good job at taking turrets. They're up on turrets, 3-1. So
I mean,
if they get that Rifty, that could help out a lot.
Yeah, and that's what Caitlyn does, is get turrets. You know, the Caitlyn Karma, the whole thing is we're pressuring, but we're still just waiting for Flannel. They just need their champions to come online. Point at clock. Can of Tin is at level 11. We are... Mr. 16 has gotten a second level in Riftwalk, which is huge for them. We do have the Roa online. This is truly astounding. The main thing is Vayne has purchased that's the item you build on like Nocturne, right? That's experimental hex.
I believe so.
That's an or maybe you can build it on Nocturne, because it does stuff for your ulti. It gives you more cooldown reduction, and even then, I don't think Nocturne even builds it. You still go just Stridebreaker.
Yeah.
I guess I see the theory, because Vayne is very much locked by her cooldowns, Tumble, and especially a lot of her power is loaded into her ulti. So I think having cooldown reduction is good. I feel like there are better ways you could get cooldown reduction than whatever the hell this is. As Angrotis is going to potentially die. Never mind, we're dropping full combo here. That will be Melee Vayne coming in with the final hour, gonna tumble forward, try and get some damage down. King of Spades through the exhaust, not able to do enough damage, as here comes Saint of Aegis tunneling in with the power of the Scion ulti. And that's gonna be an ace for Flannel here. Ace. There you go. High Alert did
Yeah.
get ace. We did it. Flannel have done it. They didn't lose a 4v5. It actually was a
You know,
4v4 because Can of Tin was not there.
yeah, I'm, you know, say what you want, but the history books will say that this was a massive jungle gap. Imagine a 161 CS gap. It's just unexcusable. No, but actually, crazily enough, Angrotis is actually not too far ahead on CS, but has kept up with Civil, which is rather impressive, seeing as Civil is the ADC and is hyper farming on this Caitlyn. So, yeah, actually doing a pretty good job. Civil also doing a very good job of keeping the team in, was big in that last fight and almost secured a couple of extra kills. Oh, Metro being heavily targeted here is going to be able to bounce out, but will not get out.
Yeah, Metro will drop here. Flannel finally making picks here in this game. Uh, Utilizing their man
Of the
advantage to
clock.
actually do something rather than dying horribly, as they've escaped kind of the early game prison they were in, and Civil is gonna get chunked out really hard here, and it will lead to Flannel being able to pick up this next Drake. I think Flannel kind of realized that they don't really need to bother with side laning now that lane states are over, because if they force a full team wide situation, they have the advantage. And now it will be leading into Ethereal Ice getting picked up by Canatin here, who will just Rift Walk in, pick that one up with the Orb of Silencing, whatever that ability is called now. As we do have, I don't think it was ever called Orb of Silence, though, but it's fine. Saint's dead, but that's nothing new. As, yeah, Flannel pick up a turret.
Yeah. General game state. I mean, you've already mentioned it a couple times, but we are finally seeing Flannel take a little bit of the initiative around the map. They have kind of just figured out they win in numbers. So now that they are just kind of pushing it down mid, they are winning. They're taking team fights more aggressively because they know they can win with the man advantage. And also, we were joking about it before, but keep an eye on the clock. The longer the game goes, the better it is for them. And that gap is only going to get bigger and bigger when there's also a man down. We do see Metro attempting to solo the Rifty, and it's not going great, but King of Spades is going to be nearby to help out, and they will secure it. So that is actually going to be their first major jungle objective. That is also going to help them out. You'd imagine that's going to go down mid lane. As again, right now the turrets have leveled out quite a bit, so use the Rifty to help get themselves back ahead. It will be a nice chunk of change in their back pocket as well. So that's a really strong pickup for High Alert to help level everything out a little bit more.
Yeah. And I feel like I've seen this song before. I've heard this. I've seen this TV show. It comes on every day. It's actually every day, every hour. This is like House Hunters on the HGTV. On HGTV, it's just like it's constantly happening, no matter if you want it to or not. And that is Saint dying on a side lane. He is once again just gonna get targeted because he's an easy target. But the rest of Flannel are gonna try and make something happen. They will not. I don't know what to say anymore. We are gonna get. We're gonna try and aggress here. Okay, actually, we just straight up kill King of Spades to death. That's insane. Yeah. Awesome. Good work from Angrotis.
They were able to pick up the 3 grubs early, obviously having the firm advantage on the jungle objectives. Because of that, they do have a lot of assistance when it comes to securing those turrets, which is the reason why they've been able to kind of build themselves back into this. They're also now 3 Drakes in. I know we haven't really been keeping track of them because it's kind of at the point where unless High Alert gets it, it's kind of expected that Flannel secure it. So the fact that they're at 3, they're just about to get Soul. Drake's up in the next 2 minutes. Baron's up in 240. Otacon is available, and right now it looks like that's the goal of Flannel. I mean, Fizz is up on the top side, no TP, so real no means to do anything about it. It is keeping Canatin up there, but again, at worst, that makes it a 4v4 for the Otacon, but they have no vision, so they don't even know it started.
Yeah, so the Otacon will be picked up here for the side of Flannel, and their sacrifice to do so may be Can of Tin, who does have to burn the Flash, does have Rift Walk, but that cooldown is not nearly short enough yet to escape all of the CC that High Alert are layering. And with the Caitlyn, they're gonna be sieging the top inhibitor turret, and they're gonna pick it up. Sybil's in a pretty awkward situation. Melee Vane's gonna final hour here, gonna do a lot of damage, try and pick that up, but Sybil just fires out crit, and takes Melee Vane to town right there. As Saint of Aegis is still alive, just narrowly, as we do have the Sona flank attack. Surprise Sona sweep! She's here, folks, and she's crazy! She will pick up the Caitlyn on the side. The Sona flank is successful, as Ethereal Ice will be left alone to walk away. Maybe can go hang out with the AFK Jarvan in base. It's... how is the gold this even still? It's still like only it's not even 1,000, man.
I mean, I guess there is still passive gold coming in from the Jarvan, but having no extra is insane for the fact that it is still this level. Especially as Ingratus has been able to free farm and is keeping up with is actually past the ADCs now. So, the fact that the gold has been so close really does indicate how well High Alert are fighting. At the end of the day, I feel like this game more shows a bit more of the deficiencies of Flannel than the inability to close a game for High Alert.
And Sunset Diner, being a human ward, decides to die. As we've left Melee Vane to hit a... And now Can of Tin is being run down by Darius. Darius?
Get over here!
Coward! Oh, and Grodus, what are you doing here?
I
feel so bad for my brother who's trying to sleep across the room, and the absolute. I don't.
Civil dies.
Okay. We died. We died. We lost straight. If you want to see more games like this,
a gold lead. They have a 100 gold lead on Flannel right now. It's gone just like that because they have the advantage. But my God, and they get a kill. They're running him down. They have to run away. King of Spades gets out. I'm
sorry. I gotta.
What is happening? I've never had a game leave me speechless while I'm watching it. How is that Master Paul? Oh, there's passive XP. I was gonna say, how is he level 2? Oh my.
Well. Okay. All right. Let's bring it in. Bring it in. We still have a man advantage. If we lose this Baron, I will not believe in anything anymore. But
I think we do. Read, but Karma's getting near. Okay, yeah, no, it's secure. They're
they get vision, but there's nothing they can do about it. So that will be a Flannel do pick up the Baron. So that's a big objective for them. Hopefully they can do something with it. You're a 5-man team versus a 4-man team. I'll give you a secret tip. Just go together as a team, as your 5-man team with the.
Okay. Oh, he's here! He's reconnected!
It's actually over. It's a disaster. It's a disaster.
The chosen
It's
one
so
has come.
over.
He's
It's
here to
so
save the day.
over. Old is even, Monka W.
The castle of sand has fallen. There is no more hope. It is officially a 5v5. They are pushing base, but if somehow, some way, they can pull this back, there is a chance this may be the best game of League of Legends in history, and also the worst game of League of Legends in history.
If High Alert somehow managed to win from this position, I'm giving up. I'm I'm never returning. I'm blocking Giggle. I'm destroying my computer, and I'm gonna go into the mountains. I don't think I can live with myself.
There's a
One
world in which
CS. Watch the CS go.
there's a world in which if they hold off this Baron push, which I feel in my
He
bones
just
that
killed
they
Sunset
can.
Diner. Guess what? It's a 4v5 in High Alert's favor now. Jarvan's level 6. He has the only button he needs.
If they hold this Baron push and they don't lose too much, there is a possibility. There's a world, Becky. I can see it. I see the vision. I've read all 4,000, or excuse me, 4,605 possibilities, and I see it, and it's just happening in front of our eyes.
Got
Metro
an
with another
assist.
kill.
He got an assist there. He's level 8, man.
There's no way he can do this to me again against all odds. I can't.
This is... there's no... We can't just keep dying like this, please. I don't know what else to say. This is no longer like a broadcast. This is a roast. This is a public execution.
This isn't even a roast. This is a mental breakdown. This should be reserved for therapy.
Wait, we did it. We killed 2 people.
There's 2 kills.
It's scaled.
Sybil is dead. I will say both of them have already died, so the Baron buff is gone for them. So peaks and valleys. Also, Deathmaster Pones is level 10 now officially, so he is creeping. It's actually rather quickly, but he's creeping.
Okay, we do have the final hour in, the tumble in. Otto gonna get fizzled by the fizz there. The troll pole will get that. Deathmaster Pone's gonna come in, try and help out with whatever he can. But now three players are down. All they needed to do was take out the Caitlyn. I guess this was like a low-bearing Caitlyn this game, because there really isn't a whole lot else High Alert can do without Civil being alive. But guess what? She's back. A great crescendo is going to lock up too. Metro's going to drop. Deathmaster Pones is still alive, does have the Cataclysm, will get locked up, will put Saint in the prison as Can of Tin decides to join him. Will follow up with the Rift Walk, and unfortunately, Flannel don't deserve to win this game. I don't care that they're going to get the victory screen. Giggle, can we just give this to High Alert? Can we make the call to give this to High Alert? Flannel don't deserve this win. This is disgusting. This was filthy.
This is the biggest what if, I think, of the entirety of Split 2. This might be the biggest what if of we can't even see your face. It's just your forehead with your hand on your head. It's the biggest what if of the LFA. Like genuinely, it's not even like what if Deathmaster Pones was there for the game, because we know what would have happened. It's what would have happened if Deathmaster Pones showed up like 2 minutes prior and they weren't able to get that Baron. If they don't get that Baron, they might lose that game. Like seriously, like that might be a loss for Flannel. So that is gonna that's the game. Flannel is gonna take it 2-1. But that is probably one of the funniest and one of the most tragic games of League of Legends. Definitely in the LFA, but easily probably I've ever seen with my own eyes.
Yeah, I don't know what else to. I feel like we all saw that game with our eyes. There really isn't a whole lot to say. Um, like High Alert, there there was no world where High Alert should have been like in that game.
He
There
went
was there
he
was
went 1-1-1. He didn't go negative. He ended up going. That's actually positive because that's I think that's a KDA of 1. I think it's just the ones across the board. Yeah, it's like 1 or 2. I
I
do you
mean
have anything
the
else, Becky?
flannel
I think I think we
the
need
flannel
therapy.
the flannel win condition that game was get to late game, and we were questioning how they could do it. And the answer was, well, we just have to DDoS. We have to call up mom, tell her to get Deathmaster Pones, bring him to the dinner table so they can have some chicken dinner together. Some meatball marinara or whatever. And then he's gone for 40 minutes. And Flannel, despite everything, tried so hard to lose that game. Like that was Flannel fighting themselves. That's beautiful, actually. That I think is like this game was an art piece when you think about it. Is actually like a man versus self. This is the conflict of this game. Flannel versus Flannel, with Civil just like shooting them in the head every 30 seconds. Just awesome League of Legends. And if you want to see that every week, like I get to, you gotta go check out the Flannel Esports channel. Even then, this was surprising to me as somebody who's watched them play every week so far. This was a new low.
Becky, Becky, I cannot express how happy I am. I miss Sheep, but I love casting with Sheep. But I'm so happy I got to cast this game with you. This might be the highlight. I don't think we can get better than this. This is the
Glad
peak
Sheep
for
wasn't
us,
here.
Becky.
Sheep doesn't deserve this. Sheep doesn't deserve the punishment of being in this game. Well,
Okay,
anyways, thanks for having me.
I'm gonna wrap it up. And it was a pleasure as always, Becky. As of course, thank you for the wonderful play-by-play, one of the best in the business. Thank you to Giggle for bearing with us through this hell in the background and making sure the stream goes smoothly. Special thanks to the players. Really special thanks to the players for making it a very entertaining series, if nothing else. To the teams, the TOs, everyone who makes it possible in the background. And of course, you guys, the viewers, because without you, there's no reason to do it. Of course, you can find us at the exact same time, at the exact same place next week for more LFA fun. Obviously, the Legends Twitch channel, 8 EST, 8 p.m. EST, excuse me, the only time zone that matters. We will see you then. Have a good night, everyone.